December 1941. Cindy Tenorio Terlaje was 9 years old when the Japanese began their assault on Guam.
When the bomb started, and then, my father just grabbed us kids, and there are five children all together, my mom and dad, and we start running up to the hill because, the war was, coming. And then we head up towards Alibugun and up to Manengan. And then we stayed there for a while. My dad had dug up a cave, and we stayed in there for months. And there were hardly any food. No, we drink from the water from the river, and food is scarce. And for a while, I got sick and everything. I was malnutrition and all. And then they continue, the bombing, and my parents were just devastated, I guess, from the war and everything. They have 4 other children, and we try to tell us, not to make any noise because the Japanese.
As the months went by, the Japanese finally located their hideout. Their family began to flee, but without Cindy.
I got very sick, and people were running outside the cave and says, they're coming, we have to get out. But then my mother knew that, I wouldn't be able to make it because of my illness. So what she did is she wrapped me up in a piece of cloth, and I remember that she said goodbye to me. I was 9 years old at that time. I didn't know. I thought they were just going outside. But later on, I found out that I was home by myself.
Afraid and alone in a cave, Cindy says a man came running by and saw her.
So he picked me up and said, "Don't be afraid, I'll take you." And he says, "Where's your parents?" I said, "I don't know the outside." He said, "There's nobody out there. People just going different directions." And I call him Pop, and when we got out, his wife and daughter just left already with the other crowds. And he put me on his back and he says, "Hang on to it."
Little did they know that they weren't actually fleeing from the Japanese, but rather the Americans were coming to liberate the people of Guam.
So we continued going down to Agat, and then he handed me over to the military, American people, to take care of me because I was, really sick. And then that was the last time I saw him.
In Agat, Cindy was reunited with her family.
I noticed my sister, so I stood up and I started yelling at her, and then I saw my mom and my dad, and then my mom thought that she was seeing a ghost, because she thought I died already. But then they came over to the tent where I was staying, and then, we started hugging each other.
Lucky to be alive and back with her family, for decades, Cindy would tell her story about this man who saved her. Ironically, it was her mother that left her in that cave in Manengan that found out who this mystery man was and shared it with her daughter almost 40 years later.
After she told me, I didn't even say goodbye to my mom. I just took off and told my husband, "Let's go." We went and took off to Jotnya.
When they arrived at Jotnya, people were gathered around and just so happened to be sharing their war stories. But it was one particular story she knew all too well. A story told by her husband's uncle, Frank.
During the war, I was passing over there, Manengon, Bokungo, and I heard this little girl's cry. I went inside, and she's all by herself. So I picked her up, took off, and my wife's gone. So I had her by myself, and we just took off, going all the way down to Agat. Excuse me. And I just wanted to know if she's dead, alive, married, off island, or she joined the novice, Just before I die, I want to know, what happened to this girl. So my husband was holding me down, in the chair, and he was in shock, My husband says, "Oh my gosh, she's been telling me, this story all my life, and I can't believe it, So when Uncle Frank finished his story, he let me go, and I went and sat down on his lap, and then Auntie Beck and Auntie Sarah says, hey, Pete, you know, that's my husband's name. Says, what's wrong with your wife? I says, just give her a glass of water. And then I was shaking and everything, you know, just hugging him and kissing him and everything. And then, what's wrong? What's wrong with this? And then I take my hands, you know, put it right on his face. And I look face to face to him and I says, take a good look on the girls that you picked up from the Menengun. Because right here, facing you, you know. But he says, but you're Cindy Terlaje. I said, yeah, I am Terlaje because I married a Terlaje. But, you know, thank you for saving my life. If it wasn't for you, I won't be here today.
Frank has since passed on, but a Liberation Day doesn't go by without remembering this stranger in Menengen she now calls Pop.
Every time I think of the liberation, I think back, you know, and there's just memories that's just, it's like I'm seeing it all over again. You know, being in the jungle, running in the jungle and everything, you know, going over dead bodies and things like that. It's just, you know, it's just, I don't know, but it's a hardship what we went through. And one thing that's, it's not going to go away. It's in my head forever.